Ico, or Ico, is a puzzle platform game developed by Team Ico and published by Sony for the PlayStation 2. Ico had a long development cycle, originally being planned to be released on the original PlayStation. Development took roughly 4 years and used a subtractive design, which meant that developers didn't include things that interfered with the game's setting and story. This was to make it very immersive for the player. The story is of a young boy named Ico, or Ico, who is born with horns, which is considered a bad omen in his village. The village warriors locked him away in an abandoned fortress to seal his curse away. In the game, you explore the fortress, trying to find a way out. After a little bit of exploring, you rescue a girl named Yorda, who is the daughter of the castle's queen. The Queen plans to use Yorda to extend her own lifespan. When Ico learns this, he tries to escape with Yorda at his side. Throughout the game, you will encounter shadow creatures who will attempt to steal Yorda away from you. If they get a hold of her, you will restart from the last checkpoint. You can't get hurt by these shadows, however. Your only weapon is a stick that you use throughout the game. Eventually you get a sword as well. Nothing fancy, but hey, it works. Interestingly, there is only one type of enemy in the game, being shadows. They were chosen to keep the players focused on escaping the castle. Ico is considered a graphical revolution, as it featured new techniques of game design and art. For example, it was one of the first games to feature bloom lighting and keyframe animation, which have influenced games ever since. While not selling especially well, it was well received by critics and received several awards. It was nominated for Game of the Year and Game Developers' Choice Awards. Ico is also listed highly on top 100 game lists across the web. The game saw another print run when the sequel Shadow of the Colossus hit store shelves. Both these games were remastered for PlayStation 3 with digital and physical releases. They were also given away for free for PlayStation Plus members. Enough about the release of the game. Let's talk about the main mechanics. Players control Ico from a third-person perspective as he explores the castle with Yorda. The camera is fixed, but it has some degree of control by the player to observe surroundings. Yorda isn't very adventurous and will often need assisting doing very simple things like crossing gaps or climbing up ledges. If you lose Yorda, you can call out to her. The call can be quite annoying sometimes. This was parodied by Mega64 in this sketch. You cannot continue the game without Yorda, as you will need her to open specific doors that you can't open. You take her hand as you help her through environments. The game is often noted to have some interesting save points in the form of stone benches that you can sit down and rest on. The concept of the game was made by Fumito Ueda in 1997. He envisioned a boy meets girl story where the characters would form a bond without communication. The game was influenced by games such as Prince of Persia, Flashback, and Another World. You can see these influences in the animation and gameplay. After 2 years developing Ico, the Team Ico ran into problems. The graphical limitations of the PlayStation 1 meant that some of the features couldn't be completed how Fumito Ueda wanted them. The game was then moved over to the PlayStation 2, making use of the Emotion Engine for smoother development. Cover art for Ico in the European and Japanese release was hand-drawn by Ueda himself, inspired by the artwork The Nostalgia of the Infinite by Giorgio de Chirico. The North American version of the game is deemed to be the most lacking and worst version. It lacks a 2-player mode available when players have beaten the game, and it also has one of the worst box arts for any games I've ever seen. Ueda's drawing didn't make it in time for the American release. The weak cover art has been said to contributed to poor sales in that region. Limited edition copies of Ico contain art cards and cardboard display wrapping. I have this version in my collection, picking it up at a car boot sale for less than £1 Great British Pound. Get in. While Ico was a PlayStation exclusive, there was also a novel made titled Ico Kiri no Shiro and was released in Japan in 2004, Korea in 2005, and there was also a British novel in 2011. There have also been talks of Ico and Shadow of the Colossus films, but we've yet to see the details. Ico had a physical soundtrack CD released too, with music and sound effects from the game. The reason why Ico was so different was because Ueda wanted to differentiate itself from other games. Video games were getting especially bad press at the time, and to draw more people into his game with an interesting concept. It has a high score on game rankings and has been compared to games such as Tomb Raider. IGN's David Smith commented that the experience was near indescribable and the puzzles in the game are like nothing on the market. Ico's ambient atmosphere makes it stand out. And sometimes lack of sound holds it all together to make an interesting package that everyone should try. Ico has inspired developers such as Hideo Kojima and Eiji Aonuma on their respective game series, like Metal Gear Solid 3 and Zelda Twilight Princess especially. The Naughty Dog team also used Ico as inspiration for character design and plot while developing Uncharted 3. The infamous game developer Phil Fish used the same technique that Team Ico used, subtractive design, in his game Fez. The biggest influence Ico has had is on the development of Dark Souls and Bloodborne, with developer Hidetaka Miyazaki stating Ico awoke me to the possibilities of the medium. While it isn't perfect, it is a really strong title in the PS2 library. While its successor, Shadow of the Colossus, may have been a more instant success, Ico is a game that will be remembered for decades to come. Thanks for watching, and until next time, don't forget to subscribe if you haven't already. See you later.